You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
This is your co-host, Danny.
Fans, we have a full show for you today. First NFL, a little college football, NBA preseason, and a little MLB. But first, right into the NFL, Danny, where interesting weekend of football, but interesting Sunday of football. But I want to highlight the Green Bay Packers. Going into LA, beating up on the Rams 24-19. Jordan Love throws for 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. That interception was a pick six, a strange pick six that was in the end zone. He was trying to avoid getting a safety, throws a ball, gets hit, throws the ball. While he's falling, he throws the ball, and then pick six happens. Matthew Stafford goes for 260 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. And to me, Matt Stafford is kind of like Brett Favre. He's good for an interception. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries for 73 yards and gets his first touchdown. Receiving Kraft, the tight end, 4 receptions, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jaden Reed goes for 78 yards. The Packers prevail. There's still something missing. Defensively, they did their thing. They held them to 19 points, and really, again, that pick six. So when you think about it, the defense held to 13 points, 12 points. So defense is, doing pretty okay. This was a kind of like a pedestrian type game, but one that the Packers win. Basically, the Green Bay Packers had to win this game. The division is fierce. When you actually have the Chicago Bears being 3-2, they've had a soft schedule, but they're winning the games that they're supposed to win. The Detroit Lions are the Detroit Lions. The Vikings beat up on the Jets in London to go to 5-0. So the Packers needed this game. What say you, Danny, about this Green Bay game?
Jay, I tell you, man, Jordan Love would have been the GOAT, and not in a good way if that pick six would end up costing them the game.
Yeah.
That was the key play that they luckily got past because the Rams were driving at the end. Under 2 minutes, the Rams had the ball, and they just didn't execute. Kyron Williams had a great game from the Rams' perspective, but the Rams are beat down, very injured. So this was a game I thought the Packers were actually going to blow them out. I know it was on the road, but the Rams are undermanned, and the Packers did get the W. It doesn't matter if it's by 1 or 30, but at the same time, it's kind of the appearance of the victory. Yeah, Jordan Love looks like that knee is not bothering him. It's like he's healing, and he's on the right track, man. So now it's just a matter of. Now I do have to say though, the Packers were undermanned as well because Watson and Dobbs, for personal reasons, did not play. So that's where Tucker Kraft, stepped up and made some big plays for them outside of Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs. So good win for them.
And let me just say that stadium is absolutely gorgeous, and the Packers fans just fill that stadium. I think any visiting team going into that stadium against either the Chargers or the Rams, the Chargers and the Rams fans are going to be outnumbered, or it's going to be a 50-50 split or very close to it. So, so much for a home field advantage. And this is even after the LA Rams won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
What does that say about LA? But I digress. And Danny, another game that really intrigued me was that of Baltimore Ravens against Cincinnati Bengals, in where Lamar Jackson impresses 26 for 42 for 348 yards, that he throws 4 touchdowns, and he rushes for 55 yards. But what sealed the game in overtime was that of Derrick Henry in his long run of 51 yards. And so Cincinnati, Joe Burrow was almost perfect. He throws an interception that really saved Lamar Jackson's fumble. Joe Burrow throws an interception in regulation, and basically the Ravens go down the field, kicks a field goal to tie the game at 38. And then again in overtime, Derrick Henry does his thing, man. So I would just say, the Bengals are in trouble, man. The Bengals are in trouble. They are 0-3 at home,
Mm-hmm.
1-4 overall. Joe Burrow impresses. Obviously, the interception does them in. But, I think this shows, by giving the ball to Derrick Henry with a little blocking, has a fullback there, he can do some for real damage. And it just shows. We're now a quarter of the way into the season. And man, from what I can tell, I think the Ravens out of the AFC, they're going to be hard to stop, man.
And just wait till it get
They are
cold,
going to be
Jason.
hard.
Just wait till it get cold and they running the ball. And that's usually when Derrick Henry usually picks it up is in the second half of
Yeah,
the season. Or,
exactly.
he's healthy or if he stays healthy and you got to try to tackle him and it's like 30 degrees outside, 20 degrees outside, that's where he makes the
Hmm.
real difference is in the
Hmm.
second half of the season. So and they're starting to get their, getting everything flowing here. And they actually threw the ball to Mark Andrews for once.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
One game of note, man. I didn't watch this game at all. I just wanted to keep tabs on it. Washington Commanders against the Browns. Um, I hate to say this, but the Browns are in trouble.
Yes, they are.
Uh, Deshaun Watson, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, 15 for 28. Deshaun Watson, man, I don't know what's happened. I think the bigger story is Jaden Daniels. He continues to impress us. This rookie goes 14 for 25, 238 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but he rushes for 82 yards
Hmm.
on 11 carries. This is just all the way around interesting, man. When the Washington Commanders rushes the ball for 215 yards, you kidding me? So that's something to take note for the NFC East. Also to take note, I think, Danny, is the Cowboys prevailed in Pittsburgh um, on a weather delayed game. Cowboys go in, beat Pittsburgh 2017, and Dak Prescott with a fourth quarter comeback and ultimately a game winning drive and game winning save
Hmm.
of recovering the fumble ball towards the goal line there. But I think Cowboys still has some issues here and they have a tough schedule. So I don't know how much they're going to be, quite honestly, competition in the NFC East, Danny. I
Hmm.
really don't. We'll see, though. What say you about this NFL weekend?
Jason, one other thing on the Bengals game is the Bengals defense. If they can get any type of defense to stop some of these teams, man, because their offense is starting to pick it up now, but their defense is letting them down. So that's where they need some people to step up. And I don't know if they need to make a move or whatever the case may be, but they need some help on the defensive side of the ball. The 49ers got upset yesterday by the Cardinals, where the 49ers were up 13, and Kyler Murray brought the Cardinals back, and they upset the 49ers 49ers, another team, Jason, that they're kind of teetering. They haven't had McCaffrey because of the whole Achilles and his issues. But Jordan Mason's been playing well. Brock Purdy didn't play the greatest game yesterday, and the Cardinals took advantage of that. Seahawks lost, and I don't know if you saw this one, Jason, but Seahawks were in scoring territory at the end of the game. Jackson Smith and Jigba drops a pass where it would have been a first down where they could have went in and possibly scored a touchdown. But so they go to kick the field goal, and Simmons jumps over the lineman and blocks the kick, which I thought was illegal, but it said the way he did it through the gap where it was legal. So Seattle ends up losing. That was a bad loss for them. That may come back to bite them at the end of the year because the Giants didn't have Malik Neighbors or Singletary. And I still got to shout out my boys from Thursday night, though. Let's take it back there real quick. So shout out to the Falcons for getting this W. Great game all around. Kirk Cousins puts up over 500 yards. Tampa Bay gave us that game because there's no reason we should have won that game. So thank you, Tampa Bay. And we moved to 3-2. Big game tonight with Kansas City and New Orleans. Looking for the Chiefs to knock down New Orleans to help us selfishly. So we'll be checking that one out. This should be an interesting game tonight.
And now, Danny, on to college football, where this weekend it seemed like there was a whole lot of upsets. Obviously, by now, everybody's heard that Vanderbilt knocked off Alabama 40-35 in a upset at Vanderbilt. And so Alabama drops down to number 7 in the latest college polls. But at this juncture, Danny, the way these playoffs are going with 12 teams, as long as Alabama is in the top 12, I mean, any team in the top 12, they're going to make the playoffs. I think Alabama just needs to be competitive. I think the rest of their schedule, is conducive to that. And I think, a team can lose maybe 2 games now with this 12-team playoff. I think you lose 2 games and you're still competitive, and depends on how you lose them, I think you'll still be, good to go in the playoffs. The interesting question about Alabama, though, is have they lost their mystique? Have they lost their shine? I don't know. I think, we'll see. It's not to say that. I mean, Nick Saban got upset, too. I mean, come on.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's the way that they lost. I don't know. And maybe it's kind of like a hangover from the Georgia game, too.
I think so, Jason. I think so. Because Vanderbilt is not a football school.
No.
They're not known for their football as of late, at least. So I think it was a hangover from that Georgia game. And they went in there overconfident.
Another upset here. Arkansas upsets Tennessee 19-14, low scoring game. And Arkansas goes ahead and upsets them, man. Miami escapes. They were down big, wins by 1. No matter though, they got a victory. So another one, Texas A&M against Missouri. So now we're talking about the likes of the Big Ten / other conferences. I mean, even Michigan takes an L against Washington. The new alignment of the Big Ten, if you will, 27-17. Minnesota beats USC. It's just interesting seeing these teams now face each other in the regular season. I'm so used to waiting for the Rose Bowl to see these teams face off. But Minnesota beats USC. Florida State continues to struggle. Florida State is 1-5 now for the season. Clemson goes in and beats up on them 29-13. That's going to be interesting to really, really watch how Florida State handles coaching, but then ultimately the players for next year.
Yep.
Are they going to be able to get the players, especially with Miami really starting to kind of become the Miami that we were used to be growing up. And I think the team to watch lastly, Danny, is Indiana. Indiana goes 6-0, 41-24 over Northwestern. They're ranked number 23 right now, and I think they could be rising. So interesting weekend in college football, but no sexy games, if you will, in my opinion. Upsets did occur. So there you have it. And now, Danny, on to the NBA preseason, and where I watched the Milwaukee Bucks against Pistons. This is the first preseason game. There were some things I liked, some things I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First, I liked how Dame played. Now, keep in mind, this is preseason.
Yep.
Giannis didn't play. Middleton didn't play. I saw Dame, and Dame looked fantastic. He's on he talked about how he changed up his workout routine, his diet. Dame is locked in. He started off the game just on fire from three. Bucks started off the game on fire from three. So the first half was something else. Second half, starters didn't play, and we got blown out by the Detroit Pistons, man. Ultimately, the score ended up being 120-87. The additions of Taurean Prince, I think that's going to pay us some dividends. I think he's a good corner three-point shooter, tall, lanky, a little older, obviously, but nonetheless, I think that experience can help.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Trent Jr. is going to be a huge piece for us. I think he's going to be very critical in Dame playing off of someone. Which my hope is that it slides Giannis to more of his, I can't even say natural position, because we're so used to seeing Giannis with the ball. So this is all going to be very interesting to see how this works out. I could see probably Gary Trent maybe even coming from off the bench to put in Giannis. Mm-hmm. Giannis handles the ball a little bit here and there. But I want to see Giannis without the ball. My concern, what I didn't like, is that when there were no plays ran. I mean, it was just normal pick and roll, actually. I mean, didn't see anything. Now, I was reading here from The Athletic. They interviewed Doc, and Doc said, our guys are still relatively new to each other, new to me. We've only put our early offense in. We haven't put one set in, and we're very happy with where we're at. That's how you use these games, just to kind of progress and get that in progress and get that in, and then you start progressing even more offensively. We have very little in offensively. That was intentional. It's not like we're behind or anything. We want guys to play more with the pass, with movement. So you just judge that. What it gives you is film. If you want to be honest, that's about it. And then he goes on and on. But my concern is, from what I saw in Detroit, in their second, third, and fourth stringers, were plays that they ran.
Mm-hmm.
And the concern there is you only have 5 days for a training camp.
Yeah.
When else are you going to put in the offense? What are you waiting for? What are you doing?
That's alarming.
It's alarming, Danny. It's like, what? So when are you going to practice all these sets that you supposedly have? Mm-hmm. When are you going to practice that? The season starts when? The 22nd. The season starts on the 22nd. That's in 2 weeks, man. So when are you supposed to put all this in? You don't have the practice time during the course of a season. Dame and Giannis didn't do anything together off season.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you actually go in and, from a team perspective, put all of that in?
And you remember last year, Jason, what was the excuse? They didn't have any time to practice.
You have time to practice.
So they couldn't work on the offense.
You have a whole training camp. You have
Yep.
a whole training camp, 5 days, however long. So I'm just really baffled. I guess the next couple of weeks are going to be additional practice. I think the NBA now has gone to less games, preseason games.
Hmm.
But this to me is just baffling, man. I just don't get it. I'm concerned because
Yep.
this is really a make or break year for the Milwaukee Bucks as currently constructed.
Yep.
And I can see this totally being broken up. I'm just gonna be real. So this is just coming from somebody who's a little confused. Um, the next preseason game is on the 10th against the Lakers.
Hmm.
That's this coming Thursday, and then they have another preseason game on the 14th next Monday, and then the 17th next Thursday. So basically Monday, Thursday games. I just don't understand what are we waiting for, Doc Rivers.
Hmm.
I can understand putting in a vanilla offense, maybe because of some of the people on the team won't be there later on in the season or whatever case may be. So you don't want them, you want to give everything.
Yep.
But you know what? If I was a coach, I already know who's going to be there contractually, right?
Yep.
Starting unit. You know what? Y'all come into my office. This is what we running. Don't tell nobody else, but this is what we running.
Hmm.
This is the offense. These are the plays.
Yep.
And then I would, first stringers, second stringers. I know y'all gonna be here. Everybody else, y'all done with practice. Y'all can go.
Yep.
Y'all stay for an extra hour or two, just to maybe another extra hour, just to kind of go over maybe a couple sets.
They are professionals, Jason. They got the
Come
time.
on,
That's
man.
what
I
they get
mean,
paid for.
what we doing, Doc Rivers? I don't know, man. I'm concerned. I'm concerned, Danny.
Yep.
Because here's the thing: we start off against the Sixers. You think they're gonna be waiting? And these are
Nope.
games you need to win early on. So I don't know. But Danny, that's the that's what I have for preseason so far on the Buzz. What say you about the NBA preseason?
Real quick, Jay, I think that they started off, it was good to see them at the beginning of the game. Uh, they had some flow. But like you said, players weren't there. I will say, man, on the Detroit side of the ball, with Bickerstaff being there now, because Monty
Mm-hmm.
Williams was fired, they
Mm-hmm.
have some length and some
Man,
youth. And these dudes were active, like active
yes,
hands.
yes.
And Holland, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
He picked whose pocket did he pick right before halftime? But they're talking about him, and that's what he wants to be his thing, is his defense. And they kept mentioning about Detroit. So
They're gritty. They're
yes,
gritty.
they're
Yeah.
they're at the bottom because after what happened last year and how bad they were.
And they're gonna be at the bottom for
Bickerstaff
long.
Bickerstaff has those boys playing.
Yep.
Ivy looked good. Kay Cunningham looked good. So they may be a team that could shock a couple teams on any given night,
I
just
think they
because
will.
they have depth too. Like
Not
they'll
only not only that, Danny, sorry, bro, but
yeah.
their second, third, and fourth stringers, I saw plays
Mm-hmm.
being ran. I saw sets being ran. So Detroit's going to be a problem.
Yep. And I say too, one other thing of note was during the game they mentioned about Prince and how before he signed he asked for tape to understand where his spots would be if Giannis had the ball or if Dame had the ball. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He actually had a nice block too last night.
Hmm.
So he
Hmm.
may be a good addition because just hearing that, he's all in and he's serious about what he's trying to do here. So
He's
I
a
think that's
professional.
yeah. There you go. So we'll see, man. But good to see some hoop.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was. And now, Danny, on to Major League Baseball, where unfortunately, Thursday night, the Milwaukee Brewers took this L, man, 4-2. We were up 2-0 in the top of the ninth, and Pete Alonso hits a go-ahead three-run homer, um, and another run was driven in later on, and it bounces the Brewers out of the playoffs 4-2. That was on Williams, the closer. I know he has got to feel absolutely sick. Um, Brewers were a better team, man. I feel bad in that, man, we had like 40, close to 40,000 in the stands again, man. The fans are hungry, not just for first round playoff action. We're hungry for more. And so my hope is that this young team remains together, or we, get some additional pitching. And
Hmm.
the frustrating thing for me, Danny, was just the in and out of the lineup, man. The switching of pitchers and everything. I understand, you have, the numbers, the metrics, or whatever the case may be, the statistics to say, hey, when this happened, you need to do this.
Yep.
I understand it, but man, sometimes you gotta go with your gut feeling, man. You gotta go with your gut feeling. And my gut feeling was maybe we should keep Myers in the game. He was flowing. Yeah, he pitched 5 innings, and yeah, he was coming up again, maybe for the third time. And Lindor was sitting there waiting for him in a lineup. But my gut feel was telling me, man, Myers was pitching so well, man. Keep riding him, man. Keep riding him until, there were some spots of, trouble, some issues there.
Yep. Like you said, gut feel, man. The crowd was hype, electric, and
Yeah.
he was feeding off of it.
I don't know, man. It just did not sit well with me. Because I think if you ride Myers a little bit longer, you can go with less pitchers, and maybe with Williams, I don't know what you do in that situation, Danny, with Williams. But whoever the pitcher was before Williams, man, I think he was doing pretty good. And I think you kind of stick with the feel.
Hmm.
And with Williams, that's just a loaded thing, man. What say you, Danny?
That was tough, man, just to see how they lost, knowing they had the Phillies coming up next too, and the way they played the Phillies before the playoffs started.
Yeah.
Uh, it was another year of this, and you hope something they can figure something out to get past this. And you had the perfect team to play as far as you thought they were tired, but they actually the Mets, man, because you saw what they did in game one against the Phillies and almost in game two. So
Hmm.
they have the hot hand. So it
Hmm.
was just they just got lucky. And the other thing is, do you walk Alonso to try to play for the double play? Was
Hmm.
another thought. I know it's
Hmm.
hindsight capital, but it's something else to consider, knowing he's a power hitter and he hasn't done much. He was batting what 220 or something, 200.
Hmm. Hmm.
But with those power hitters, man, it just takes one. Obviously, it takes one hit and it's gone. And so it's just tough, man, to see Devin Williams in this position again. You know, we've had this before with him in the playoffs where he's had, I think it was the Dodgers in
Hmm.
the past where he's had these kind of blow ups. But yeah, tough, man, because the Brewers had a great season. And this goes back to about seeding. And if they already had that 2 seed versus the 3 seed, you avoid this wild card. So something to consider in the future. I know it's tough, man, because the Dodgers, we talked about, they got $1 billion salary cap. Their team is loaded. Phillies are loaded. But you just hope the Brewers can bounce back.
Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.